Wheels are spinning. We are live. Hello, everybody out there in Whiskey Land on this. I about said Monday night, but it's a Wednesday night. It's a different night. Of course, if you don't know me, I'm Scott with the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, and joining me tonight
is Ben with a mic in his face. And what did you call this place? Whiskey Land?
Whiskey Land. Yeah, I guess.
That's a first.
A hot.
Super stoked for tonight, though.
I know.
We were just chatting up about how, like, I feel like a kid again with these whiskeys that we're about to unveil.
I don't know. So I shot my reviews of them, and I think I may have called them like unicorn bottles, if I remember right. If not, they definitely are. These are two bottles. We're going to get to them here in a minute, but they're just one. They're older than some we've seen. It's a well-known distillery. A lot of people have interest in. They're older bottles than we generally see. And they're both exclusively matured in different sherry casks. And they're two different flavor profiles, two different whiskeys distilled on the same day. But it's just I don't think you could find exclusively matured whiskeys at this age from this distillery from any other company out there.
You can tell we're excited because we just jumped in. We've skipped over all the greetings and the shout outs of everybody in chat. Man, Scott and I are pretty pumped for this. And I was saying, we're obviously very fortunate. Look at what's behind us. We get all this amazing whiskey all the time. It's part of the gig. It's a great perk. But man, I got these two bottles in the mail, and I don't know. For some reason, amongst everything here, this really piqued my interest because of what you just said. Two whiskeys. And I think, if this were 5 years ago, I probably would have, planned my entire day around just tasting these whiskeys. And so I kind of did that today. Pretty pumped.
Yeah. But no, that's why I didn't pull out the bottles yet, because I figured we could go through a little bit of a roll call here. And then we kind of tease everybody with that, unicorn talk and the excitement. But let's see. John Coley is here. Mamuka 1977. Northwoods Whiskey Nerds. Tom Cat. KLG 223. Scott Freeland. Daniel Hayes. Duke McHale. Evan Stevens. George Kaplan. Joe Combs II. Brian McCoy. Robert G. Derek Allen. Cody Sugai. Multi-casking, Eric Waite Whiskey Studies, Ryan Shaw, Brian McCoy, I think I said Bordeaux Cliff, Warren Buff. Well, thanks for everybody tuning in. Quite a list already starting off this early.
And they said they talk about the summer lull of YouTube. We got the whole crew here. I mean, come on. Also, Eric Waite. I always read your YouTube as Eric Waite Whiskey Studios. I somehow swapped the E for that. Now, when you said Scott, you read it out loud. I was like, oh, it's not a studio. Okay, it's a study. That makes more sense given his content.
He does have a dance studio in there. He used to do a lot of dancing and stuff around with his whiskey reviews. I see Adam Clary just tuned in. John McClement, the How 9K1. Yep. All right.
Good crew. What's everybody sipping on tonight? Whiskey Wednesday. Look at me, still saying the Whiskey Wednesday as if we all need an excuse to pour a drink. That was the hashtag for 2015. Man, that was all the rage. What's everybody got in the glass tonight? Obviously, we got two whiskeys we're about to pour. And as Scott, you just mentioned, you've tried both of these.
Yep.
And so kind of had initial reviews, which I think is always cool because you can. I'm sure the bottles evolved a little bit since you first opened it. I've yet to try these, so I will uncork them in front of the camera. Just so I don't know, just to give just paint the picture that we're only ever honest, which is true. Mm-hmm. But no, you'll see kind of a raw first impression from one of us and a more expert opinion from the quiet one over there.
What I didn't do, I forgot, was to make up a banner for both of these since we're showcasing both of them. Do we need a banner for both of them, or talking about it?
Yeah. Well, while you jot that down, Scott, a quick question: do you want to? We can, maybe while you're doing that, I'll just to quickly explain the concept behind this, why we're doing this, because we've done this a few times now. I believe. I know you've done. I haven't been a part of the streams, I don't think, with you, but about a year ago, our team, we were thinking about just the membership experience. Like, what does it mean to be a society member? Okay, I mean, I'm not going to bore you with the whiteboard talk, but the big takeaway was, I think, man, there's so many different single cask whiskeys, or not necessarily single cask. Some of these have spent time in 2 casks, and let's just say single malt whiskeys. There's so many out there, so many we're releasing every single month. And so it was interesting. Oftentimes we'll look at the whole roster of whiskeys coming out through the course of the year, and there's a lot that are distilled in sort of on the same day. It's like sister casks, as some would call them. So we decided to really plan ahead this year and stagger some of the timing of the releases, so that members could at least have an opportunity to further their own knowledge and understanding of maturation as it equates to flavor. So with these 2 whiskeys, I think, as Scott, you mentioned earlier, both of these were distilled on the exact same date. And in the case of these 2 whiskeys, which I don't know is entirely unique with this Distillery Dive series, but at a certain point, they were transferred into 2 different types of casks. Or rather, Scott, was it the same cask split into 2? Or no, it's 2.
It's two different Oloroso butts. Yep.
Yeah. So we got 2 sherry butts. And then we transfer them to an additional cask. Of course, we'll reveal those after that. So it's kind of cool. I mean, the difference is fundamentally, obviously 2 casks. And if you were to chop down a tree and form 2 casks as it is, and just allow those to mature in a warehouse side by side, the 2 casks will always produce different results. So it's always fun to compare and contrast that. But then we kind of added another level here, where we've transferred the liquid in those casks to second cask for a second term of maturation, and that's where the difference lies. So you have like the natural differences that nature would provide, and then also sort of a little bit of creative influence with the second cask. Obviously, both of these are cask strength, and as Scott mentioned, I think kind of older than good maturity behind it. And Eric says, "I like sherry butts, and I cannot lie." Kind of a classic comment from you, Eric. But as a dad, I can appreciate a dad joke. And the question earlier I asked was what's in the glass. Got a lot of responses, so thank you, everybody. I saw, well, I'm actually scrolling back here. I saw one that Hokey Lee said sipping on 7.255 Giggle Jiggle. I remember doing that one, tasting that one here on YouTube. That was just like, that name stuck out to me. Kind of a wild one. And Northwoods Whiskey Nerds says Kilkerran 12 for me. And Bordeaux Cliff, hoping for a few mans.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a few of those.
You think so? Okay. All right. When you say something like that, Scott, I'm like, I will not like it. Capital O, man. So good to see everybody. A lot of whiskey in the glass. If you haven't had a chance to pour one, please do so. How's that banner coming along, Scott?
Then I got both of them done. Just copying and pasting it here, and we're good to go.
So while we get rolling, I guess, Scott, how do you want to do this? You've tasted these whiskeys. Should we do one at a time? Should we just go ahead and pour at the same time?
Yeah.
And compare?
Yes, I think since this is a distillery dive and we want people to look at these, side by side, let's pour it. Let's kind of introduce them. We'll pour them, but then we'll one at a time taste them, and we'll do the lightly peated category first. Or you want? Yeah,
I mean, I'll follow your lead. I mean, you've tasted them, and so you'll know which one is probably better to starter. But yeah. All
right. Let's tease it. These are 19-year-old whiskeys that have been exclusively matured in these sherry casks from distillery number 4, which we haven't said yet. And I think that's what makes these especially unicornish, rare, to have that old of a whiskey that's been exclusively matured in sherry casks for that long. Yeah. But we have cask 4.292 and 4.293 sister casks, like you said. And let me start the ticker here. I got for 4.292. These will be available both individually or in a bundle where you can buy both of them. And you do save some money. We'll get to the pricing on them later in here. But the price is up there for the individual bottles. And I think was it did you say $60 or $65 it saves if you buy the bundle?
So yeah, so basically, so these whiskeys are being released together, and you can order them individually or as a bundle. What does it say? Is you have the price on both of those, or is the price on one of them?
Yeah, it's
if you've ordered them together, you'll actually save $65 as a bundle. So when you go online, you can simply just, you don't have to add two in the cart. You can just add the bundle. You'll see that as a separate line item. I do think you didn't put the price on the first one though.
Yeah, for the individual bottles, together they'll be $575 if you purchase them both together.
Got it. No, I'm saying the price of the first one is not listed, but the price of the second one is. Oh, this is just the first one.
Yeah, this is just the first. I had it all,
so many words going across the screen.
I know it.
Right
I had it all together, and then I was like, "That's way too much." So I cut it in half and made a second one because it was easier to read this way. So, but let's scroll the ticker for 4293 real quick. But when we get into tasting 4.292, we'll come back. So this is the second one here, the Dirtiff, that's scrolling right now. Both of these 17 years ex Oloroso, but 0.292 was then aged for 2 extra years in a first fill XPX Pedro Jimenez, but 0.293 spent that last 2 years in a second fill ex Oloroso butt that had previously held whiskey from Distillery 29.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's real in-depth knowledge there. I ain't a whiskey. Yeah. I was like, what's Distillery 29? Okay. And if I was wondering that, everybody else is wondering. So just quick observation, without even pouring it yet, like right away, I noticed these bottles look black, but holding up the bottles is the light here. This black label one, the 2.293, is definitely darker. I mean, it's really opaque. You know,
if you can see just a shade or two, it might not be real noticeable here, but yeah, the 292 is this one. It is a little bit lighter than the 293. So in person, it's noticeable. On the camera, it may not be as much. There you can kind of see it pull back into the light a little bit.
Not so much.
Okay, so the ticker is scrolling for, I'm going to change it back. We're going to get into 292. We'll taste this one first. Peat Fire Tales. And like I say, both of these 19-year-old, both distilled on the same day, just put into different casks. 59.4% ABV on this one, and it'll be $295 if you buy it by itself.
I'm gonna do it. There's man, the aroma is like,
oh yeah,
booming. I'm gonna do a little ASMR. I never know it.
I forget what the ASMR stands for.
Now opening the bottle.
Ooh. Yeah. Ooh, that was a good pop. Yeah, look, I can see that color coming out of the glass there.
Yeah. Wow, just immediate, like explosive aroma of you just get right away like such a coastal vibe from both of them, but the sherry is unmistakable. Which one did I just put first? Okay, yeah, I see one being definitely darker than the other.
Yeah,
pretty considerable difference from my point of view. Oh man! Wow! So you're just gonna know? Oh,
which one? Are you 292?
Well, I don't know yet. I mean, what's really nice at the color differential, like, is just as we kind of go back and forth, like you can see, like, you can make a clear visual distinction between the two.
Yeah.
Because both are so familiar.
Both 17 years in an Oloroso butt and then transferred to the separate casks. But this one that is the darker color in the Dirtiff or the deep, rich, and dried fruits profile, It was a second fill Oloroso cask, so that must have been a real active cask to still pick up that much color over a first fill XPX cask.
I mean, I had learned once, and I don't. This is just kind of what I was told at a tour of the Glengoyne distillery a few years ago, and the claim was that when it comes to color, a sherry matured whiskey will get like the vast majority of its color, like 80-90% of the color in the first 8 years of maturation. Then everything from that is just like a marginal like darkening, you know, relative to that. So how much time was it spent in the second casks?
2 years. They were both 17 years in their first Oloroso butt,
Yeah.
and then transferred to the separate casks.
So I would think the majority of that color really did come from, and obviously you're right. The second one is darker, but who knows though? I mean, I guess we don't really know, because I'm curious to know what was the color differential coming out of the first cask after 17 years?
Yeah,
because
true.
17 years in a sherry cask, like it could be drastically different as it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, but this is just, man,
Yeah.
this is. We can just go on. Everyone's like, no, it's spent. You know, that was an active cask. It's just funny the influence of like time and the activity of the cask, like so much when it comes to color.
Adam Clary is asking or he says this isn't a lottery, correct? No, this is not a lottery. This will be first come, first served.
This is incredible. This is really just fantastic.
Yeah. Nose on. So we're on 292, the lightly peated. Let me move it to the front. I'll just set this one down for now. Nose just sweet, sweet fruits right at the front. Cinnamons, nutmegs, oaks, just blasting out of the glass at you. Honey, burnt toasted honeycomb. Whew. Slight peat, slight smoke.
Oh man. Oh, that was the second one. Oh. So this is like real old school whiskey. Just, I haven't even tasted it yet, but man.
Yeah. The nose is fantastic on both of them.
Yeah, I appreciate them for such different reasons. Like this first one, in 292 is definitely more coastal. Like you get more maritime notes right off the bat. You know, probably because it's not masked with it. Oh, I forgot though. This is PX sherry versus Oloroso, so there's that difference too.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Nice blast of ripe stewed fruits. Not the Oloroso plums, dates, raisins, that stuff, but sweeter, softer, almost stewed apricots, stewed pears, raspberries, berries in general, brown sugars. Wow.
I mean, if I wasn't sort of nosing these two together, so you have the lightly peated one and the deep rich and dried fruits, which I know that visually one's darker, one has a black label, different numbers, different profiles, but I'm going to call 1 and 2. The first one, just for the sake of this conversation moving forward, the first one, just nosing that, to me, I'm like, wow, that the sherry influence is so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the next one, number 2, and it's instantly like it changes your entire, I think, perspective on the first one, because it amplifies the sherry influence even more so.
The nose, just all those fruits, though, all the spices that you expect from Oloroso and PX together, and I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, I've been waiting for, what time is it? Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh,
cheers.
You want to do a toast?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Here's to you. Here's to me. And our whiskey.
That was rehearsed.
I just thought of it. Cheers.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so it didn't register to me that this is in fact 59.4%, and I appreciate that the probably scroll on the screen here. You don't really see a whiskey of this age tend to retain that sort of strength. So instantly, it's wildly alcoholic and ferocious in every sense. Like, I mean, this is. I just opened this bottle and probably automatically need some time, but right away it's like, whoa, there's so much going on here, and probably more intense than I would like. You know,
it's a blast. Get you right up front. The little bit of Oloroso, a little bit of PX notes, lighter, sweeter, a little bit of a molasses, Caro syrup sweetness. I get a very light cigarette tobacco, almost like a cigarette burn, just lightly on this one, but so much. I mean, it's on the very tail end. There's a hint of it, and the rest of it is just PX and Oloroso.
I know this distillery, number 4, as we call it. You guys can all do the Googles if you want. Tends to like the traditional style. This distillery's traditional style is obviously the lightly peated whiskey in a sherry cask.
Mm-hmm.
And like they've since gone away from that a little bit with certain whiskeys, but this really brings you back to, I think, the very best of it. Man, it's really blowing my mind. It's like a proper old school style. We've seen quite a few casks, and I think that's what the email mentioned. Mar, we've seen quite a few casks from Distillery 4 in recent years.
Yeah,
but not like this. I haven't seen one like this for a while.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. This is a gorgeous whiskey, and there won't be too many like it. Just being this age, Distillery number 4. And these casks that this is in, very active, very nice. And let's go. You want to do bottle number 2 and then come back to water, or do you want to add a little water now and keep looking at this one?
I think because this is so strong, I was going to say let's just do them both neat first.
Okay.
But because this is so strong, like I feel like I'm getting so much alcohol, and I know there's more flavor underneath there. Oh, yeah. So it wouldn't be a proper assessment, or like of the whiskey. Like I don't feel like I have a good grasp on really what it offers yet. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water.
Yeah.
And then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back and add more whiskey. I mean, because this is unreal. Ooh, yeah, see that adding some water definitely brings out more stone fruits.
Yeah, that's what I've got. More fruit forward, more sweetness. Starts to unleash with water.
And interestingly, like I get more now of the coastal character, even more of the coastal character. It really kind of reduce the influence of that sort of that white peppercorn. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm like talking so far away from this mic. I got to get used to. Oh, I had a little bit.
There's a nice salted dark chocolate caramel. The coarse sea salt on top of the dark chocolate caramel here, with even a little bit of a raspberry drizzle on it, or maybe a caramel raspberry cream filling. Just all over. Just explodes on this one.
Man, it's like 100 degrees down here this whole week. And I was thinking this whiskey, this is such a autumnal or wintertime whiskey, for sure. But I have no complaints right now. I seriously, I haven't had a sherry cask matured whiskey in quite a while. Man, this is this is just. Sorry, you were going to say something?
I was going to say we hit 109 degrees yesterday here.
Damn.
Which was a record.
But I was gonna comment. The price is $2.95 the bottle, and the one we're doing after this is a little bit more even. And the science of pricing out casks is kind of sometimes forget how complicated it is. But no, I was going to comment. The price is obviously, in my mind, being kind of buying whiskey for so many years now, it seems high for what it is. But I was just thinking, man, with the way the market's been, with inflation and everything, it's now I feel like, and I'm sure everybody, for all you in chat watching this, probably in the same position. When I buy whiskey, I realize that, man, price has been going up, but now with for this kind of money, I want like an experience. I feel like my expectation for this is I want an experience, and man, this is one of the experiences I've had with a whiskey in a long time. Like we've done these streams, and this is and we're just on the first one,
right? Yeah,
this is what I want, man.
Yeah, I had high expectations when I saw the 19-year age statement and the exclusive maturation, and it definitely, I think it exceeds, both of these bottles exceed my expectations. So, yeah, they're good. These are good bottles. I added a second dash of water here just to see.
Yeah, I've added 2 rounds.
That brought out, I noticed on the nose an herbal hint of something. Not sure what it was. Almost a vegetal type note on the nose after second round of water. Oh my God. Yeah.
I think maybe I've added too much water now. Like I think I've passed the equilibrium, so I'm getting more flavor, but the intensity was really cool. Of just the amplification of a whiskey that spent the time of these 2 different sherry casks over almost 2 decades. Like there's so much going on, even on paper. And when that's delivered at near 60%, maybe that was too high, but like I dialed back to, I don't know, maybe 55 with a few drops, or 50 to 55. And I kind of like that.
And the thing is, though, the notes, great finish. It does last. They're all there. I think with water brings out more of the toasted notes as well in this. All of those, the fruits, the honeycombs, even the spices, the oak, everything, a little bit more toasted, very juicy, very sweet, just gorgeous.
Yeah. Very a bit of an ashy finish, like more I think the peat comes out at the end.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit like a smoked like a smoked mackerel or I'm trying to think of like some sort of whitefish, a bit punchy. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit of the seafood aspect as well. It's really just like it's all the things. The peated sherry cask is a fantastic style. And I think this shows. So I would be done with, like, if we just ended the stream now, I would be really happy with this. No, I mean, I'm truthfully, and because I know a lot of, for everybody watching, I mean, like it's not an inexpensive whiskey, and so I want to be, you're welcome to, if you want to get one of the bottles, to be a special bottle to own. If you want to get both of them, you can do this comparison. But I'm just saying I would be very content with just the one bottle on its own. It's as a singular experience. That'll keep me busy. And I'm like, this is definitely, of all the whiskeys behind me, this is probably one when friends come over, I'll probably pour this. Like, to introduce them to SMWS, I'll probably choose this one.
Well, we probably don't even want to do the other bottle then.
Well, yeah, we'll just turn off the camera and then just.
You know what? I'll tell you what. The bottle bundle, both bottles together, is $575. It is. You'll never see a 2-bottle bundle like this again.
Yeah.
And this is a great exploration. Like you say, 2 sister casks, 2 different finishes, and the differences we're gonna start pointing out here when we start talking on this next one, because it's even. Well, I won't say it. I probably shouldn't say. Can't say, but it's good.
I think I'm finding it difficult to really pick up the PX sherry notes, because I typically, different casks I think of it more of like a sticky sweet, like confectionery sugar, and like kind of like molasses type of influence. But with what was originally 17 years in Oloroso Sherry, plus the P, like there's so much going on that the nuances of the PX are kind of lost on me a little bit. But I bet if I had a sample of the whiskey before it went in the PX cask, and did a comparison there, I'd probably be able to. It would be easier to tell the difference. But right now, there's just so much going on.
Once we go on, though, when we move on to this one, you're going to see the difference, and you can go back and then you'll be like, oh yeah, there's the PX.
Okay.
It does show. Yeah. Once you get this next one, that's been Oloroso the whole time. So, like the first bottle, again, Sister Casks, distilled on the same day, 19 years, 17 years in an ex Oloroso butt, and then transferred to a second fill ex Oloroso butt. That the first fill had Distillery 29 whiskey in it. So very intriguing. And that's all in the description on the website. So that'll be up on the product page, actually.
Look at Drew flexing his Discord. Yes, I'm a member of the Scotch 4 Dummies Discord. He's trumping your Discord.
Yeah. Well, he says we can do a public invite link, but we want to verify everybody that's members coming in. So we're asking that you email us, and then we'll verify that you're a member and send you the invite link that way. So,
dumb question. What is PX? Oh, not a dumb question at all.
sorry. Yeah.
PX is a common abbreviation for Pedro Jimenez, which is a type of sherry, which is a fortified wine. And there's a whole spectrum of different sherries, and it's kind of like wine. There's like white wine, dry crisp, like a Sauvignon Blanc, and there's different wines and flavors and styles, all the way down to like a heavy Cabernet Sauvignon, dark red. So sherry is kind of like the similar spectrum. On one end, you have like a Fino sherry, and the other end is the Pedro Jimenez sherry. All this it's funny. All of the different varieties all are made from the same grape, the Palomillo grape, except for PX, which is just Pedro Jimenez. So kind of a weird, but it's like really thick and viscous, like sticky sweet. Think of like a heavy dessert wine. Mm-hmm. So if you put it at whiskey in the cask for so much time, then maybe it's almost too intoxicatingly, I don't know, sweet. So with 2 years on this one, Oloroso Sherry is the other type, and that's where the whiskey spent most of its time, and that's more of a drier, nuttier style sherry. So generally more conducive to aging malt whiskey, Oloroso Sherry. But people have really strong preferences, it seems like these days, and opinions of which one's better. I like them both. They're different.
Yeah. Yeah, they're both delicious. So this one is in the Dirtiff Deep Rich and Dried Fruits flavor profile. It's 58.9%, so just a touch lighter than the other. This one by itself will be $345, or again, you'll be able to buy the bundle, the Distillery Dive bundle, for $575, which saved, I think you said $65 it saves if you buy both the bottles in the bundle. And it's a great comparison. It's a great look at these two whiskeys. So the nose on this one, this is the Oloroso here. This is your dark. You just get those dark, dried plums, dates, raisins, nutmegs, cinnamons, rich, burnt caramel. Wow. Yeah, and the color on that one.
Instantly darker. Oh man, this is proper. Now, there's a good question I thought from George. If you didn't know about the former 29 cask, would you have identified any of that peat profile influence? So I think the question that George is asking comes from Scott, your comment about, so this whiskey, like the one before, it spent time in 2 casks, 17 years in Oloroso Sherry butt, and then we transferred it. We being our spirits team in Edinburgh, the society, we transferred that cask into another cask, which was previously used to age. It was from Distillery 29. Okay, we don't reveal the distilleries to protect our distilling partners. You can go Google SMWS codes if you'd like. Mm-hmm. It's an Isla distillery. So presumably, and that's a good point that George brings up, because yes, they spent time in a second fill Oloroso Sherry, but for the final 2 years, but that also probably, likely so, absorbed some influence from the very heavily peated Isla malt as well. And so the question is, do you get any of that? I'll ask you, Scott. I mean, he's asking us, but
let's wait till we get into it here. And
see. Okay. On the aroma, not for me. Right? No, I didn't get any of that.
No, the nose on this one is just exploding. All those, like I say, all those Oloroso notes that you would expect just coming right out of the glass, and probably just a faint hint of peat or smoke in there. Really, the sherry, the Oloroso, is taken over. I mean, that's 98-99% of the nose to me. And like I say, maybe just a faint hint of the smoke of the peat in there.
No, I'm thinking of like, what happened to the liquid in that cask? I was here. I mean, it was a few years ago, I guess, and probably 3 years ago. Did we have a first fill sherry cask from Distillery 29? I think it was like a Pxl bottling from a few years ago.
Oh,
I could be wrong. Anyway, sorry.
Would it'd have to be at least 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago for them to age this 2 years in it. So,
oh, right.
yeah.
Crazy to think that this whiskey was distilled just a couple of weeks before 9/11.
Oh,
I don't know, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
The 20th of August, 2001.
Huh.
And that's, time flying by.
Yeah. You say it's from a different time. Wow. But no, the nose is gorgeous. And I just got like peanut butter crunch, like chocolate covered peanut butter.
This is as dark as a sherry cask whiskey like you'd want.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anything darker than this, I'd be like, okay, dude. Like, this is all cask. This is.
Sure. Mmm. Say it.
Oh, baby.
Man. Oh, man. Woo. Gorgeous. Sherry, Oloroso Sherry up front. All of those fruits that you expect. Plums and raisins, dates, all of the Oloroso spices, the nuttiness, cinnamons, nutmegs, oaks, darkness, toffee and coffee, dark chocolate, bitter dark chocolate.
Definitely still very, very strong. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this one, but I think maybe because my palate's warmed up, or maybe because the peat is not as, I don't know. There's something about it. It's more palatable. I think it's probably because my palate's warmed up. But
I think it's the richness. This one's just a little bit richer,
a
little bit darker overall. And I think that's where that PX cask brought in a little bit of lighter sweetness. Still all, sherry maturation, but I think the PX made that one a little bit lighter, a little bit sweeter, still gorgeous sherry bomb. This one, Oloroso Sherry bomb, slight hint of peat. And I think both of these, these could both be in the lightly peated profile, or they both could be in the Dirtiff profile. But they're both.
Yeah, they really are on walking a thin line there. Both of them are.
Yeah.
Compared to all the whiskeys that we've seen in those profiles. This is like, you can't taste this and not say it's deep rich and dried fruits, but you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Drew Bills asked leather. Yeah, there's leather in here. Tobaccos, rich tobaccos, sweet tobacco. It's gorgeous. That dark chocolate, peanut butter crunch. It's coating. And let me get some water on it as well.
It really is. It really is spectacular.
Yeah.
And all the elements, from what I'm tasting now, all the elements of this whiskey, not elements of the components of like the flavor profile, the peat, the sherry cask, the relatively fruity spirit beneath it, but there is a lot of cask influence. So you're not getting a ton of the spirit, beyond that. Everything is so loud, but it's also balanced. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's definitely a harmony that's achieved in this whiskey. And I will say, if I just say this blind, and of course you mentioned this, Scott, and I didn't know the details about the second cask, but I might guess this was an Islay whiskey that was just muted by a big heavy sherry cask over almost two different sherry casks. But because I do get a little bit of that sort of iodine, like a medicinal. Yeah, on the second one, and I've gone back afterwards after tasting the first time and went back and nosed it. Maybe that is the Orcadian peat too, but I am getting more of a different peated profile, and it's not like less. It's not that there's more peat on the first one and less on this one. It is different, and maybe that's influenced by the spirit and the cask, but it's different.
I would say so. Yeah, I mean the peat is still. The peat is still faint in both of them. They're both very lightly peated. I was surprised after I heard that this was the second fill Oloroso and had priorly held Distillery 29 in it. I kind of thought maybe it was going to have even more of a peat punch, but it doesn't. But they are, like you say, it's two different peats, because like with 292, the first one that we did, the lightly peated profile, it was more, it was really like a cigarette, just a lightly cigarette ash kind of smoke. This one, I suppose now it does have that, you say that it's a little bit earthier. It's not quite as light of a peat. profile, taste.
This is going to be controversial, and I don't care if I should say this or not, but I would put this up there with any Vaults collection whiskey in terms of like the quality of the experience we're having right now.
Yeah.
And again, I was looking, it's funny, I was looking at the prices. I'm like, this is, prices are going up, man. The market, inflation, blah, blah, blah. And now after tasting, I'm like, okay, good deal. Like suddenly it's like becoming a deal because I'm thinking of all the other whiskeys that I'm thinking of, like throwing this back on the shelf, and you know, I'm thinking of who I'm going to share this one with, people who appreciate it, not compare this over anyone. And I don't think I would treat it any different than any Vaults collection bottle, and I'm fortunate to have quite a few behind me. This is
but yeah, so like the first one, you were like, I couldn't really, or you were wondering where the PX notes were at. If you go back to it now, you'll notice. I mean, because of this one being, 19 years exclusive Oloroso, then go back to 292 with that PX cask, and you'll see the difference.
How does one get a Discord invite? Can we put a note in the caption about the Discord? Keep posting. I have to keep posting it on a banner.
Just send me an email or Jenna, scott@smwsa.com. We'll verify. We only want members in there, so we want to email asking to join. We'll verify your membership, and then we'll send you the invitation to the Discord. And you can scott@smwsa.com or Jenna@smwsa.com.
Just to clarify Scott's point, we want everybody in there, but it is a members only forum.
Yeah,
we don't. You said we only want members in there. But truthfully, though, as a membership club, like we wanted to create a forum, and I got this request from members honestly for a couple of years now or more about having some sort of community forum. Discord wasn't even around at the time. We started having the conversations, and so it really is the perfect platform, as opposed to creating our own proprietary platform. It's a great app. So.
It's going pretty good. So we did introduce it just a couple of weeks ago, Jenna and I, when we did the July outturn preview tasting, and I think we've got 35 people so far that have asked for invites. They've come in, real good conversation going in there, and it's not just SMWS whiskey talk though either. I mean, there's other all kinds of whiskey talk going on in there, and just looks like it's going good, and people are having a good time. So. Go back. Do you want to go back to 292, the first one, the lightly peated bottle number 1, real quick? You've got Oloroso on your palate. You can smell it. As soon as you raise 292, the lightly peated one, back to your nose, you can tell the difference. You're like, yeah, there's the PX. Ooh, yeah. Lighter, sweeter, more kind of syrupy on the palate, even just lighter, fruitier. Yeah. both gorgeous whiskeys, and I think really both very rare bottles. This age of whiskey from this distillery, exclusively matured, and these quality of casks are rare.
I'm like having a side glance at the Discord. I love the conversation. A lot of common opinions about the import tax and the price.
Oh yeah,
of course. And listen, it is unfortunate. Like if we were in the UK, didn't have to import the man. I'll tell you the cost of doing business, this kind of a business in the US, like in all the different states. It's not only complicated, it's costly. There's all the layers, and our country makes it, I think, unlike any other country in the world, except with the exception of like Middle Eastern countries that do not permit sale of alcohol, period. There's no kind, like it's funny, my friends in other brands like trying to come to the US market, they're like, this is crazy. What are you doing? Like, I'm an American. This is all I know. Yeah, there's taxes. There's so much taxes, the transit, everything. It does in fact add the cost, and that's the reality of it. But
so Tom R is asking, can I talk about rum on the Discord, and what about Irish? You can talk about whatever you want in there. Now, so right now though, we do have just one general chat going. We will break it down once we wanted a test run. We wanted to get a few people in, see how it was going. Once it gets going and gets established, we'll break out in some different rooms, even locations. Like if Chicago wants its own, Discord channel in there, we'll knock out a channel for, Chicago, Miami, New York, whoever. We've already had a couple of questions come up, like a general whiskey talk or breaking things out. We could do a rum whiskey talk. There's probably be like 2 people in there, someone else with you, Tom, talking about rum. I'm not sure who the other one would be, but I'm sure someone would join you. I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah, maybe you can do like a, I don't know, leave it up to the community to decide what sort of channels would be helpful. But I'm thinking as a member, like a lot of the conversation that takes place, just helpful to know, opinions of whiskey. Should I buy this? Is this a good deal? I'm just being open and honest about it. Like that's something that I would value as a consumer. But maybe that's just part of the general too. I don't know. Did you see the live stream last night? Like, can you believe that? Those assholes. Ben only said, "Oh man," 3 times. He was like so full of it. The price was like so high, but then he said it like was better than a Volts Scotia bottle, so it's probably pretty good. It is, man. It is. Yeah, no interest in. I have respect for every other whiskey brand out there. No disrespect, but it's no interest in kind of. My love for whiskey is too great to not be honest about it. Like, if I had to censor my opinions about certain things, and it's not for me, man. I'd choose a different career path.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a flannel shirt channel. So conclusion, between the two, curious, Scott, from your opinion of these whiskeys, different occasions for enjoying these whiskeys, you think?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I think I really like the 2-bottle pack on this one, because I think this is 2 great whiskeys side by side. Just like this, you can show someone, what exclusive Oloroso is, and then you can show someone Oloroso with a PX finish, and they're quite a bit different, surprisingly. So I think this is a great. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's my take on it. But I think, like you say, it's bottles that you're going to pull off the shelf and you're going to share, with people that'll appreciate them and know it. So
it's becoming like a. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the style, the peated whiskey in the full term sherry cask is. I feel like it's coming harder and harder to come by. I'm trying to think of the last. Yeah. Well, because of all the peated whiskeys we don't get a lot that are just full term in a sherry cask. Now this is full term in 2 different sherry casks, both of them, but not of like this degree of sherry influence and this amount of peat. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
It's usually
yeah.
So I'm just trying to think of like beyond society whiskeys.
Sage Summer. I feel like you have to get them both and not just one.
Well, I asked you the question about the occasions. You can go 2 ways with this comparison here. And on one hand, it kind of reminds me of bourbon. As a malt whiskey drinker getting into bourbon, initially, I think one can have the perspective of, man, all bourbon tastes the same. And then the deeper you get into it, the deeper the more apparent the differences of all different bourbons become. And this is I'm just saying that I'm expressing I'm generalizing the opinions of, like, maybe let's say malt whiskey drinkers in the UK, because I think bourbon was not around. Like, I grew up in the Midwest. In Chicago, there's plenty of bourbon, but like I've seen my colleagues here decided to come over to Kentucky. We've gone to Kentucky, and that was kind of, I've seen the evolution of their opinions. So when we started off, like in the first 30 minutes, I'm thinking, man, these are so similar, and the differences are. But now as I'm thinking about it more and more, I am actually thinking they are more different. Or they're as different as similar, meaning that I think I would be in 2 totally different moods to enjoy these 2 whiskeys, if that makes sense. So,
right.
so my conclusion is that they're in different flavor profiles. We both agreed at the beginning they're kind of both walking a thin line of each. You could flip the flavor profiles. Now, after kind of tasting them, adding water, going back and forth, and I actually think they're in the right profiles, and I think the differences are pretty apparent.
Yeah.
Like I definitely, like, I will need to be in a mood for a real heavy sherry cask whiskey for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Which you're saying, because you're always in the mood for that.
Well, yeah, that's true. But no, yeah, it's once you pointed out the difference in the peat flavor. They're both, to me, there's still just hints of peat in there. But yeah, this one it is a different tasting peat than what you get with this one. And it's probably from being in that cask that had, Distillery 29 in it that changed that up. But to me, both of them, though, still it's the sherry is overriding. I mean, it's up front, and they're both just gorgeous, delicious sherry, and then with just a hint of peat in there. So, but yeah.
This is a really good question from Andy, who says, any idea how these compare to the standard 18-year-old old from Distillery 4? Because I think that's what, as much as we are in like our little bubble here and all these single casks, like that's a really good point, because how does it, like, so first of all, the 18-year-old from Distillery 4, we can't name, but come on, is a classic, one of the most iconic single malt whiskeys of Scotland for sure. And it's 43% chill filtered. I think they claim it's natural color, but whatever. But it's it's presented very differently than both of these whiskeys. So you have to think like, okay, if that flavor profile, and it's been a while since I've had that, but if you were to offer that whiskey at cask strength, let's say, how would that compare to either of these?
It would still pale in comparison, because it's
not. I'm not trying to say it's better or worse. I'm just saying how would it? What are like the? I'm
saying it would be worse. I mean, I'll go out on a limb on that one. Okay. I'm just telling you the 19 years, and it's not exclusively matured. So I suppose it does depend on your palate. Where these spent 19 years in sherry casks and their cask strength, you're not. I mean, that's completely different than the 18-year, off the shelf bottling of this, which is a blend of ex-bourbon casks and a little bit of sherry. Like you say, it's lighter.
Not the 18-year-old. Not the 18-year-old. The 18-year-old
is it exclusive?
Exclusively a combination of European oak and American oak sherry casks.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So that's the traditional style of the distillery.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't start using bourbon casks. So I think Jenna just commented about the 15-year-old was like an introduction, and it was controversial, I think, with it back years ago. So it's a fair. I mean, American oak, European. There's more going on, but it's all sherry.
I still don't know if it had this much sherry influence, though. Maybe it would.
Well, I think that's the question. The question that Andy's asking is how do these compare? So it's not. The question wasn't like, is it better? Okay, so Scott, I agree with you. Both of these whiskeys that I've just tasted are way beyond that core 18-year-old, without a doubt. Like, you can't compare. It's not fair, to even compare. But now I'm thinking like, okay, if you dial that one up to cask strength. I'm not even, now forget if it's better or worse. What would it be? So I'll offer. I'll say that.
So, do you remember that Distillery 4 in their, well, not their core range, but they did a limited offering a few years ago. One was in a dark bottle, one was in a light bottle.
Yes, the dark and the light.
They may have been named something about like that. I've got the dark bottle one, and it pales in comparison to these, and it was a $300 bottle, matter of fact.
Okay, but listen, we're not here selling like any like marketing lore here. The whiskey market's pricey, but you're kind of getting what you pay for. So I'm not trying to say it. You're making really like consumer compare. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Andy can clarify. You're making like
that's what he asked. So he said, "How's the standard 18?" But I'll tell you,
no, but you're giving, which I think you're giving good insight, which is like consumerism comparisons. I'm just giving like a flavor comparison. That's what I'm trying to get.
I got you.
But your point, I didn't even think of it the way you're looking at it. Maybe that's what Andy's looking for.
Yeah.
So, or maybe he's looking for both.
Yeah. And the one in the dark bottle I had was a great bottle, and nice peat, nice sherry, but still compared to these, I mean, it pales, and it was same money.
It was very one-dimensional in comparison.
Yeah,
I remember that being kind of like, it's good whiskey. Anyway, yeah, we're not here to talk trash about any other whiskeys out there, but so let me just offer this opinion from a flavor perspective. Andy with the best comment of the day. Like, that's really like it. This is I guess this is what we're supposed to be doing here anyway. The first one, the peat influence is probably greater than anything you get from the distillery bottlings itself. I got more peat on the first one we tasted. And the next one, we had more sherry. So the question is, if we blended these together, what would the flavor spectrum look like and compared to that?
Huh.
Anyway, if you think this is heated, spoiler alert, next week Scott and I are due to do a blind tasting competition here on YouTube. We shouldn't throw that one out there.
On National Scotch Day. Yeah, it'll be next Wednesday night. We're gonna have Jenna is setting us up with a blind whiskey tasting, and we'll kind of see whose palate is better. I guess we're trying to decide what the wager is on this. So
you responded and said, the loser should shave their head, and I was thinking, first of all, it's like a matter of time for me. I got the Jewish genetics, so I might as well just cut to the chase. I'm not really like, I don't really care. I mean, it's already going. So I don't mind shaving my head. I prefer not to do that though. So we got to come up with a real thing. But yeah,
it's just been a few years since I shaved mine, so no big deal.
Yeah. So we got to think of so Scott and I'll be here on the channel competing with a blind taste test that Jenna is facilitating. Evidently, she'll be sending us samples. And so, man, I'm going to humiliate myself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, don't discount me doing that either.
Well, I should put both of these whiskeys in the lineup, and we're like, this is a space side, port cask, and you can really tell.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Both of these, so these can be purchased separately tomorrow. Lightly peated 4.292 peat fire tails will be available for $295, or you can buy 4.293 a cunning combo for $345. Buying them together saves you $65. I think we calculated it. It'll be $575 for both bottles together, which is, it's pricey, but this is a great buy. And these are two bottles that you will never probably have a chance to taste or try again. I think these are two very rare bottles from a great distillery with an excellent 19-year maturation, and they're one of a kinds. That's my 2 cents.
I think these are both in like my top 5 of the year for sure.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, you responded with it in a way that suggests that like that was a ridiculous suggestion.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I don't know which one though.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. Loser grows a mustache. Mine isn't too bad, actually. I don't know what Ben look. I can see you got a little stubble going. You probably grow a mean mustache.
I can grow one pretty quick.
Well, I can see a little soul patch going there as well. Goatee outline.
I shaved 2 days ago. Like I said, it's the Jewish genetics. But I support Max's. The losers grow a mustache, and then the next stream, you have to stream with a mustache.
How about let's say
I just saw Top Gun, so I'm like totally down to grow the mustache.
Let's say 1970s mustache. So you can't, it can't be like neatly trimmed or like short. It's got to be like 1970s full man on, no shame mustache.
Fine. Did you see Top Gun?
No, not yet.
Oh. Go see it. You'll grow a mustache tomorrow. All right. No.
That takes too long. That's like a 2-year process.
Yeah. I appreciate the creativity, but man, I don't know if I can do that.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. And as we say, it says it on the back of the bottle. Scotch Malt Whiskey Society whiskeys are not for swigging, glugging, or knocking back. Please drink responsibly. Cheers.
Cheers.